Like and subscribe to Gilligavite!
Game on, everybody, and welcome to another video. Some of you have maybe remembered that I made Solfachord deck profiles and combo videos back in 2021. They recently did get new support in Cyac, so I wanted to go ahead and showcase to you guys my updated Solfachord deck profile. To this day, these videos still get views, and I definitely wanted to make an updated profile to show you guys what I've been cooking. So a quick call to action: if you have seen this in the past, please consider subscribing to my channel, because only about 1 to 3% of you guys are subscribed that have seen it before. So if you guys are coming back to the channel, please consider subscribing. I do awesome deck profiles and combo videos, and if this video can reach over 100 likes, I'll be sure to post my combo tutorial for the updated combos for Solfachords. I've simulated over 1 million different test cans, and I wanted to go ahead and showcase to you guys what I think is the best Solfachord deck profile for the pure version.
Hey, Gilly from the future here, and would you believe it? This deck actually got hit by the ban list. I made this list 2 weeks before the ban list, was about to get ready to post it, and then the ban list happened. So I wanted to go ahead and play test it a little bit more before I started sharing. Anyways, I'll be chiming here and there to give you the full list, but as I do in all my videos, the full deck list is available on my Twitter and Discord. I didn't want to completely scrap this video, but maybe this is the start of a new video format. Be sure to watch the full video to help with the YouTube algorithm. Let's get back to the video.
I'm going to start with the lower level monsters and then work my way up and then go into the spells and traps. Starting the deck profile, I play 3 Cutias. When this card is normal summon or special summon, you have the ability to add 1 Solfachord Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. It also has an on-field effect if you control an even scale in your pendulum scales. Solfachord Pendulum monsters gain 100 attack times their scale. I then include 2 Dreamias.
I actually play 3 now. It's a really good extender, and it's also a great way to play through disruption and hand traps.
This card also has the on-field effect that if you control an odd scale, you can redirect effect destruction to this card instead. In my deck profile, I like to include all the Solfachords, especially in a pure variant, so I opted to play 1 Elitia.
Yeah, no. Go ahead and cut this card. Maybe in another format this card could see some play, but otherwise just cut it.
And for the last high scale I play
Is 2 Fancia. Fancy has the effect during your main phase, you can add 1 Solfachord Pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck. While this card is also on the field and you control an odd scale, you can go ahead and redirect Battle Destruction. So these Solfachord monsters are level 1 through 4. They also are your high scales. The high scale pendulum monsters, when they're in your pendulum zones, basically your pendulum summons cannot be negated while they're in the scale. So we're going to move on to now the lower scales, or the high level monsters, and they all share the same common effects because they are all higher level monsters with lower scales. They have the ability for your opponent cannot activate spell, traps, or monsters when you pendulum summon Solfachord monsters. The first ones of the high level monsters, I play 3 Gracias. When this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Solfachord spell or trap from your deck to your hand. While this is on the field and you control an even scale, when your Solfachord declares an attack, your opponent cannot activate monster effects until the end of the damage step. You don't want to play too many of the high level ones because they become bricky, so I play 1 Angelia. Angelia basically says you contribute 1 Solfachord Pendulum monster and special summon 1 whose pen scale is 2 higher or lower than the attributed one. And while this is on the field while you have an odd scale, when a Solfachord attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps until the end of the damage step. I also decided to include 1 Butia. This has a once per turn effect at the start of the damage step. If this card battles a monster with equal or higher attack than the lowest pendulum scale in zone times 300, you can destroy that monster. This also has a quick effect that you can target one of your opponent's monsters, or if you have an even scale, you can target 1 face-up spell or trap, and then when that card leaves the field, it gets banished instead of sent to the graveyard. And for the last Solfachord by name, I play 2 Kulias. This card isn't terrible playing 2, it's the boss monster of the deck as far as like the main deck goes. You'll be mostly summoning it from the new Link monster that came out, so some people are more inclined to play 1, but I just personally like 2 in the deck. This card says when an effect of a monster on the field is activated with equal or lower attack to the highest pen scale times 300, you can destroy that monster. Unfortunately, it doesn't negate, but that's what the Link monster does, so that's pretty cool. We'll talk about that one more later. This card does, however, have the ability to target 1 face-up card on the field your opponent controls, or up to 2 if you have an odd scale, and then you get to negate those effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Moving on to the spells and traps, I play 3 Solfachord Elegance. This card is absolutely busted. This card has 3 effects. The first effect basically says play this card and then put a Solfachord into your pen scale. But if you actually have a Solfachord in hand, you can go ahead and play Elegant, put the Solfachord in hand to the extra deck, and then place your pen scales from your deck, directly from your deck. That's insane. This also has the extra effect that if you basically have your setup all ready to go and you need to draw into like some kind of hand traps or defensive cards, you can go ahead and replace your odd and even pen scale to the extra deck and just draw 2 fresh cards out of your deck. I also play 2 of the field spells.
I actually cut this down to 1 because the second copy never really felt like it came up.
Its first effect basically says you can add one face-up Solfachord pen monster from your extra deck to your hand. That allows you more additional follow-up on your next turn. Most of the time you'll be grabbing Cyac. Its second effect allows you to increase the pen scale by its level, so that's always going to make your Solfachord scale basically a range from whatever you have on the first monster and then 9. Theoretically, your scales are always going to be 1 through 9. And then it has the additional effect that if you control 3 even or 3 odds, you can go ahead and destroy 1 card on your opponent's side of the field. I also wanted to include the new quick play spell, so I'm playing 1 Symphony.
I am no longer actually playing this card. It was mediocre at best when I actually was able to use it.
If you can get the 5+ effect off, it's great. And then 7, you don't even really need it. Maybe for like a late game like comeback. So what does this card do? So based off on how many Solfachord face-up you have in your extra deck, you can do these effects in sequence. If you have 3+, the Solfachords gain attack buff ×3 for each pen scale. If you have 5+, you can destroy 1 card on the field, and if you have an odd scale, you can go ahead and draw a card. And if you somehow manage to get to the 7+, you can special summon 1 Grand Solfachord directly from your extra deck. It's mostly a battle trick. If you could do 3, you're fine. If you could do 5, you're great. If you could do 7, I don't know why the game's lasting that long, honestly. And for the trap card, I play 1 Solfachord Musica. So this is a slightly conditional trap card. If you have an odd scale, you can special summon an odd Solfachord from your extra deck, face up from your extra deck to the field. If you have an even, it does that instead. Ideally, though, the best effect is if you control an even and odd scale, you can go ahead and target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. The newer combo essentially has the Link 3 plus Coolia and Scale plus a Musica set, and then that in turns is 3 interruptions on your opponent's turn. Onto the rest of the cards, I play 3 Small World. This card is absolutely busted, broken for this deck. This card alone is essentially the main reason why you're able to have so much consistency with this deck. This card plus a combination of 82 other combinations gets you a starter card. And that's like the worst case scenario too. I'm not even including like the different like non-ideal starter cards that you'll want to include. I have like the full math breakdown, so if you stay tuned for the rest of this video, you'll go ahead and see a sneak peek of that stuff too.
The math has changed, but this card is still broken. I just won't be able to showcase the full math breakdowns in this video due to time constraints.
The best starters for this deck, I'm also playing 3 Diviner of the Herald. This has not changed. This is never going to change unless it gets banned. This is one of the best starters, and the combo has slightly changed, so if you guys are interested in a combo video, be sure to like the video. To help facilitate that combo, I play 1 Trias. If you want to know the combo, you could technically watch my old video, but I'll be recapping it in a future video with better combo links. And because this is a straight up just pure fairy deck, I'm playing 1 Herald of the Orange
I'm
Light.
playing 2 of these now, baby. Let's go!
When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can send this card as a quick effect and another fairy to the graveyard, and then just negate that activation and destroy that card. Onto the hand traps, because it is Duel format. We are playing 3 Duel and Lockbird. Self-explanatory.
Wow, these hand traps definitely did not age well. So Droll is now in the side. I'm not playing Ogre at all this format, and Gamma is dead. So that's also out. So what I put instead is Ash Blossom and Effect Veiler. To make the deck count an even 40, what I went ahead and did was put 3 Prosperities instead, and I added 1 Curry card, the Divine Carnet. It's searchable with Small Worlds and is also a great bridge for the whole deck.
The last card that I included in the deck is 1 Called by the Grave. You could technically cut it down to a 40 card deck if you cut Herald of the Orange Light, but whenever I play Driver in a deck, I typically just spill over to 41 sometimes. That is the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. We are playing 1 Grand Solfachord Yugioh. Basically, you'll use this card to swap a pen card from your extra deck to 1 in your hand, but the options are that you have to have an odd swap for an even or an even for an odd. When you pen summon a Solfachord while this card is on the field, it does not have to be directly to its arrows. You can target 1 of them and then add 1 Solfachord from your deck to your hand that equals the pen scale. This card is cool, but it's not like the Link 3. The Link 3 is absolutely busted, so let's go ahead and talk about that. For the Link 3, I'm playing 2 Grand Solfachord Coolias. This card has the ability to gain 100 attack for every pen monster in your extra deck. It also protects activated effects of pendulum monsters that it points to by making them unable to be negated. This is also the negate for the deck. Finally, something that is on the right track for this deck. So when your opponent activates a card or effect, you have the quick effect to special summon 1 Solfachord with an odd scale from your pen zone to the zone it points to, so it has to summon to the zone it points to, and if you do, you get to negate that card's activation and add 1 Solfachord pen monster with an even scale from your deck to the face-up extra deck. And the honorary Solfachord, I guess any pendulum deck really, is I'm playing 1 Beyond the Pendulum. You could argue to fit 2, but I'm playing some other thing.
Stop. Play 2. It's great for turn 1 if you go full combo or breaking boards going second, but in the late game grind, you can go ahead and make this and crack the whole board again. A reminder, if you're confused about the full list, it is available on my Twitter and Discord.
So this card says it requires 2 effect monsters, including a pendulum. And when this card is special summoned to the extra monster zone, you pay 1200 life points. You then add 1 pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, but for the rest of the turn, unless you pendulum summon, you cannot activate monster effects, and the pen zones are negated. That's completely fine. We basically go into this monster, then pendulum summon. Super easy, super nice. It also has the additional effect that if 2 monsters with different original levels are pendulum summoned at the same time to the zones it points to, so it does not have to be pendulum monsters, it can be any monsters with levels, you can target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. This helps when you go ahead and go second and crack boards. On to the extra deck, so I am playing 1 Elder Entity Intis. This card is primarily here for when you normal summon Diviner, send Intis to the graveyard, and you can pop Anti-Spell Fragrance. Trust me, if you play this, you're better safe than sorry. I am also playing 1 XL Synchro Stardust Dragon. This card is absolutely busted because this gives you easy access to Baronne de Fleur. Basically what happens if you have Elegance plus Gamma in hand.
Wow, this combo aged poorly, but don't worry, Diviner can still make this all happen. Yes, Diviner still makes this combo line completely playable. The Diviner combo for going second can really help break boards.
Just such a great way to counter your opponent. I also play 1 Link Karibo.
I ended up actually cutting him to make room for a second Beyond the Pendulum, but if depending on your playstyle, you can go ahead and try to keep this in. Just listen to the rest of the explanation and you can maybe see if you want to fit it or not. I just personally didn't think there was enough level 1s to kind of keep it in the deck though.
You could maybe swap this out for another Beyond the Pendulum, or if you're afraid of the Idly lock, you can swap this out for a Lingaribo. I also play 1 Cyframe Lord Lambda.
Well, this is not very usable now, huh? So instead I ended up swapping this out for Protector of the Agent's Moon. The card can essentially help you out annoying floodgates. That is if you don't open up Diviner.
And possibly the best Link 2 in the game, I play 1 IP Masquerena. This helps you with the old combo lines to go from IP Masquerena into Crusadia Avermax or any other Link 3 or Link 4. Speaking of Link 3, I play 1 Nightmare Unicorn. This is probably one of the most iconic cards to go from IP into Unicorn for an extra interruption on your opponent's turn. And like I said, I play 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax, 1 Access Code Talker. This helps you basically break boards. Or if you're more into the control kind of game, you could play 1 Apollousa Bow of the Goddess. Super easy to get a format Apollousa with, 4 negates and just control the whole board state. And because we'll be leaving a lot of monsters on the field, I also opted to play 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. You can make this card super easily to help break boards and help you go second. On to the side deck, I'm playing 3 Wavering Eyes as my tech choice for the format. There is another pendulum deck that is meta relevant.
Well, for a few weeks when this card was extremely playable, I still think it's worth playing. Super Heavy Samurai obviously isn't really much as the tier 1 meta contender as expected, but let me tell you, this card was insane. But ultimately, this card is, when it comes down to it, could be a time card. I'm gonna still try it, but it's probably cuttable. So many people end up reading what your cards end up doing, so you have to stop and explain as to what they do, where they pick it up and read it. And then it's kind of nice to have like a time condition card just in case.
For those who don't know, Wavering Eye is such a powerful card for pendulum decks, especially in a pendulum versus pendulum match. It has effects based off how many pendulum cards are in the pendulum scale. If there's 1, you inflict 500 damage to your opponent. If there's 2, you get to also add 1 pendulum monster from your main deck to your hand. So you can set up your own scales, pop your scales, burn your opponent for 500 4 times in the round, and also add a pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. Now, if you end up doing 3 pendulum monsters, you can banish 1 card on the field and get the previous effects. And if you have 4, you destroy all 4 pen scales, you get to add another copy of Waving Your Eyes from your deck to your hand. This card's also not once per turn, by the way. Is it good? I mean, it's a pretty good card, and it's only relevant for when pendulum decks are meta, and there is one, and you're a pendulum deck, so you might as well get the additional advantage while you can. I also play 3 Ash Blossoms and Joy Spring.
Remember, this card's in the main now, and then I swap Droll out to the side.
And then I play what I call the Triple Tactics Thrust package, so I play 3 Thrust, 1 Talents, 1 Dark Ruler No More, 2 Dimensional Barriers, and 2 Evenly Match. All those cards are searchable with Thrust. So there you guys have it, my updated Solfachord deck profile. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, please. I've been trying so hard to basically bust out really great, awesome combo videos and deck profiles. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It really helps me out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out of here.